Now, I already talked about this on my other channel, and it was through the political lens. But after I finished making the video, I realized that I have seen this message before. I have seen it in the world of entertainment. And this message actually highlights what I've said in the other video, which is why woke people are incapable of making good art. And I will remind you what the message is. It is said by a person by the name of Stephanie Jones, and she is president, attorney, writer, former U.S. Deputy Chief of Staff, Senate Judiciary Committee. So it's a public person, right? It's not just everyone. It's someone with knowledge from the inside. And they are replying to the mainstream media saying that the Democrats should have done better. And her response is basically that no, the Democrats couldn't have done anything better because they are absolutely perfect the way they are. As such, nothing can be improved, and if it was 2028, they would do the exact same thing. Because changing anything would imply that they are fallible, that they didn't understand what they're doing, and that is unacceptable. That they have to display level of godlike perfection. And you get to see that some individuals are coming up and they're saying that, well, it is a messaging issue. And immediately, like, no, the messaging isn't the problem. Is the problem that America has racismus. So I guess, like, the solution is for the Democrats to keep nagging. And as you get to see, like, other messages are saying, yeah, this is absolutely right. The Democrats need to stand tall and resist. Like, no negotiation, no compromise, no self-reflection. And I'm like, where did I see this before? Like, this is not something new. This is something that I have seen for the last 4 years. And then I realized that this is exactly what's happening in entertainment. This is why The Acolyte failed. This is why Lord of Rings of Power Plus Privilege failed. This is why Concord failed. This is why Suicide Squad and many other productions have ended up failing, including Forspoken. And every single time, you get to notice the same playbook. The people pushing for the product, again, whether it's Forspoken or Concord or anything like that, they pretend that their product is perfect. That their product has nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's a 10 out of 10 game. And it's the people who are wrong. And this is coming from the mindset where they believe that the people are uneducated, the people are dumb, and they don't care what the people think. In fact, if you go on many of these game journalist websites, you will see that the comments have disabilities, specifically because they don't give a shit about what people think. And if you also go and you look at the game developers' Twitter feed, they share block lists. They do not care about their customers at all. Because they believe they already hold the answers. They believe they already know better. And if the game doesn't sell, it's the customer. You know, the customer is a racist, is a bigot. That's why the game isn't selling. And they have like the set of ideas, the set of beliefs that when you make a game, for instance, you need to remove the word feminine, you need to have words like body type A, body type B, all female characters need to have skin disease, cellulitis, vitiligo, they need to look like men in wigs, because this is the moral thing to do. It's not about selling the game, it's not about anything else besides ethics. Like, it's unethical to have a female character that looks like Stellar Blade. So, like, if the game doesn't sell, it's not because you made a poor marketing decision or a poor casting choice. It's because the customers are unethical. And the idea is that if they keep doing it, if they keep pushing it, eventually the customers will change their mind and they will become ethical. And this is exactly what we see in the realm of politics. We see the Democrats that are basically suggesting that America is unethical because they're not voting for the Democrats. And if they keep nagging, if they keep this energy, 4 years in the future, maybe people will become more ethical. But it's also interesting when you're looking at Concord and you're studying the history of that game, because it seems to be right now the biggest failure in gaming history, not just this year, but in history. Like, it's probably going to be a worse game than E.T., which is a video game made back in the day based off of the famous movie Extraterrestrials. And it sold so poorly that it actually killed the Atari. There's still copies of ET buried in the Nevada desert because they didn't have anything to do with them. And I think Concord actually beat that. Like, it's actually now in gaming history. And it cost around $400 million to make, like, massive failure. And when you read the history of it, you realize that they had this thing called toxic positivity, where within the development team, like within the actual game developers, they weren't allowed to say anything negative about the game. Like, even if a developer would see that the characters are unappealing, they lack grace, they don't look heroic, like it's not going to sell, they weren't allowed to express any of that because of the culture of toxic positivity. And this type of culture reminds me of growing up amongst evangelicals. Like, this was the type of culture that religious fanatics used to have. And that is like the person that is in power claims to have read the Bible, that they claim to have interpreted the Bible, and they know better than anyone else. And you can't question them, because questioning them would actually mean questioning God, right? Like, they now speak on behalf of divinity. And if the things that they're trying to accomplish don't work or end up backfiring, it's not that the message was wrong, because the message is divine. It's the way that the people are acting. The people are sinful. And this is the exact mindset that I see with woke ideologues now. Like, they genuinely believe that what's coming from academia, like diversity is our strength, representation is important, inclusivity is the way forward, that cannot be questioned. Like, there is no poking at the message, because the message itself is divine. It's coming from the academia. It's infallible. So when the message is applied, if it produces a different result, like let's say you have anti-racist courses and it actually ends up making people more racist rather than less, it's not that the message was wrong or that the methodology was problematic or that some introspection is required. No, it's simply that the people are wrong. The people are evil. The people lack ethics. The people lack compassion or empathy. Because everything up until that point is perfect. And that can be the only piece of the puzzle that would explain why the result wasn't the way they wanted. And they can't make good games. This is why, like, criticizing and saying that a game is woke is valid criticism, because when you make a video game or when you make art, you gotta be open to criticism. You gotta allow people to say, well, yeah, like this scene didn't hit well, or I didn't like this part, maybe you can change it. Like you gotta be open to these types of suggestions. But if you're close-minded and you're basically thinking that everything you do is perfect and you shouldn't listen to anyone else, especially not your customer, then it's impossible to make good products. Like, you're never going to be able to accomplish that. I mean, this is how gaming actually evolved. Like you have a first-person shooter like Quake, and then someone goes, it's like, well, why doesn't the character ever reload the weapon? Like, that would be a fun mechanic to reload the weapon. And then, someone takes that criticism and makes Half-Life. And when you reload the weapon, it adds a new strategy to the whole combat system, because now you're vulnerable while you're reloading. It's really cool, right? But, like, if you're with the mindset that, no, the game is perfect, you don't need to change anything, people are wrong, you're not going to improve. You're not even going to apply that. Or the way woke people do it is that, okay, well, reloading the weapon would probably look good, but who suggested it? Oh, it's a Trump supporter. If a Trump supporter suggested reloading the weapon, we can't listen to him because that would validate the bigot. All of these things are connected, right? Like, when someone says a game is woke, they're also referring to the people who made the game. And the people who made the game with this mindset are very unlikely to create a good product. You can't have this level of bigotry and manage to create works of art. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.